All right. Well, hello, everybody. Um, just double checking here really quick that we are live, and we're gonna get started. Let me just double check here. All right. So today, for anyone that's tuning in, first of all, welcome. Today, I'm really excited to do this super impromptu live and share with you guys uh, a really interesting talk on AI for solopreneurship. And instead of hearing me talk about it all day long, as you probably watch my content and stuff like that, I figured I would bring one of my really good friends, an AI automation expert, Christal Anderson. So first of all, welcome, Crystal. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Good to
Awesome.
see you.
Well, likewise. Well, I think when it comes down to AI, a lot of the people usually ask like the first question of like, how did you get into this? Tell me a little bit more about that. And I've kind of experienced that as well. Like, what was my aha moment and stuff like that. So when it comes down to like AI, like, what made you realize that hey, I should probably pay attention?
Yeah, for sure. Well, my background is in human resources. So I was in HR for quite a while, for several years. And then once I got to a place where I left corporate America, I started my own HR consulting business. And in that whole process, I taught myself how to build out websites and landing pages and funnels because I didn't want to pay someone else to do it. I was too cheap for that. So I just taught myself to do it. And I found that I had a knack for it. And so I just kept doing it. And then I started doing it for my friends and doing it for clients. And so it really just kind of expanded like that. And so as I continued in that, line of work, a few years back, I decided to get certified in systems integration. So I was a remote systems integrator using Zapier to connect all different types of systems, or if it was an API key, whatever was needed to connect a lot of different things. And so it was just kind of fun for me. And all of a sudden, out comes ChatGPT, and I really didn't know what it was. But once I figured out what it was and how it could help in so many different ways, and it really worked perfectly with what I was already doing and to try to incorporate that into the different automations and realizing that this is going to be big. I just went nuts for it. And the rest really was history. It was just, realizing all these companies are going nuts for it. I probably should pay attention to it.
This is true. This is true. A lot of really big companies are making big splashes, and what like when you discovered like ChatGPT, what was your experience with that?
It was, just trying to figure out the prompting. In the very beginning, I didn't tell it, act as this or act as that. And so I thought, this is total crap. And I hated it. And I just thought, this is not for me. But as I realized that I was doing it wrong, then I began to really see the value of, what ChatGPT could do. And for me, especially, I hate writing. Like, I hate hate writing. I've always hated it. And for me, the fact that I don't have to start out with a blank page and stare at it for a while is just gold. It's gold to me. And so just getting into the habit of it, and once you get into the habit of it and see what it can do for you, I just found myself using it all the time. Like, what do I want to eat today? ChatGPT, what do you want? What do you think I should eat today? It was just all the time for really ridiculous things, but it really got me into the habit of it, and it became a lot of fun. So that's kind of where I was just, started out just kind of playing with it, but now I see the value is huge.
Absolutely. And I see we also have some people joining, so just wanted to give a quick little shout out to Ivan and Gary. Thanks for tuning in. Um, so, Crystal, you mentioned like when you first got started with ChatGPT, it was like this is total. I can't remember if you said garbage. right? But I mean, I've personally seen a lot of people like completely discard it right from the get-go. So that's really like interesting, and I think, one thing that I personally discovered too with this is like you have to have an aha moment, and I've seen it every time I've like talked to ChatGPT or AI to anybody. Everyone has the same misconception: it's robotic, it's trash, it doesn't work, it sounds, generic. But the second that you apply it to a use case that makes sense for them, they light up, right? And their face is like, whoa, like how did it do that? And then it's almost like a roller coaster of emotion. You're like, no, no, it doesn't work. Like, oh my gosh, it works. Oh my gosh, am I gonna get replaced?
Yes, that's the process that people go through in their minds.
Yeah. So like, it's just so fascinating to me. But when you're going through that whole journey, of like, okay, let me figure out how to prompt it, and then it's almost like an addiction, almost of like, oh my gosh, I can use it for this, and possibilities are endless. What was like your, I guess like your transition into like exploring other AI tools? Do you have any other favorites? Like, how did that kind of go?
Yeah, I mean, ChatGPT, at least to me, is the gold standard, and it's the AI model that everyone is chasing. So they come out with something, people are right behind them, but they're still behind them. So, it's like you see that, but then you also wonder, well, I wonder what other, companies have created. And so I did try all the different ones, and I found that especially for like for instance with copywriting, which is the one thing that I have as my biggest weakness, I found that ChatGPT oftentimes what you see a lot of is, it unlocks and unleashes and revolutionizes everything. Every time you write something, that's usually the kind of thing that comes out of it. And so I was looking for something that, you know, gave a different option. And so I tried Claude, and I thought, wow. Once I realized, because usually what I end up doing is putting the prompt that I put into ChatGPT and then trying it out with other models. So I tried it out with Claude and really got some amazing script and writing from it. And I still do that. I will use Gemini and I'll try it with ChatGPT and then I'll put it in Gemini and see what comes out. And sometimes it is better at explaining something, or it's just a little bit more comprehensive. And Perplexity, I love Perplexity. It's just the fact that you always know that you've got the source. You know that the information you're getting is not something that's a hallucination. That is definitely worth its weight in gold, because sometimes ChatGPT will hallucinate. So just having that security of knowing the information you've got is definitely very sound, is wonderful. I haven't tried Copilot a whole lot, but it's like you just keep trying different ones and see what is actually useful for that particular use case. So I know Claude is my go-to for copywriting. ChatGPT and Gemini, they're excellent for different things. And if I need to have the source that from what I've done, Perplexity is the one I go to.
Yeah, Perplexity. I'm a big fan of Perplexity. I agree with you. It's a matter of like trying the different chatbots and just seeing which one you actually like, or like these AI tools, right? Like you can talk to. I recently started playing around more with Copilot, and I found that you can. It has same capabilities as ChatGPT. Um, but I think it's interesting because a lot of the times, what I've seen is also that people just get stuck on either just ChatGPT, or they get stuck on like one tool, or on the opposite side, you have people that just get completely overwhelmed and they're like, I gotta try, Midjourney and Dolly and this and Leonard and blah 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 blah. And next thing you know, they spent like 3 months going down like the same tool with different packaging. So so I guess like I just have two really quick questions. On that same lane. Number one, for anyone that's new to AI, you mentioned AI hallucinations. So if you could just briefly explain that, what that means. Um, And then oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, absolutely. Whenever find that the information that you're getting out of ChatGPT and you notice that something looks a little off, like, I've never heard of that before. That's interesting. And then you go to Google and Google it and try to find that article, or you try to find that event that happened and it never happened and it just kind of made it up, which is kind of cool that something can actually make something up, which is kudos to the technology, but you still need, the clarity of it actually being something that really happened. So that's what hallucinating is.
Yeah, this is true. Awesome. Thank you. And the second question I'm sure people are now like wondering is like, how do you manage it all? Because there's so many tools that you can learn about, there's so many like and that's I think one of the biggest things in the AI space is that you really have to understand that you are becoming a learner because all the things that we're doing is new. It's new to society, it's new to just the world in general. So how do you kind of like have that balance of like, okay, ChatGPT was great for this. I tried Claude, I tried Gemini. And should I keep trying? Do I stay where I am? Like, what's your mentality or like thought process on that?
Well, I have to admit, were times where I was not balanced with it, and you just go down this rabbit hole of, oh, this is a new thing, and that's a new thing. You just keep trying all the things, and then you're completely overwhelming yourself because you've got 10 different tools that can do the same thing. And what's the point of that? That's not efficient anymore. That's just you having a lot of busy work, and you definitely have to balance your time that you have because you really want this to be something that saves you time and makes things so much faster for you. Like for me, I am a caregiver. And so I have to make sure that any time that I have to put to, my business and the work that I do has to be as fast as it can possibly be done and in the least amount of time. So I, definitely got into a place where, I look to find something that worked for me. And if it works, go with it. You don't have to find 10 different versions to do the same thing. If you find something that you like, it's kind of like a comfy pair of shoes. If you find the one that really fits good and feels good or looks good or whatever, do you need three more of, I mean, some people, I guess, do need three more of the same pair that feels the exact same, but it's a much more effective thing to, just get a method to your madness. Get one thing that works for you, and then put that down. This is what I use for this, and then it's your go-to, and keep doing that until you have a nice toolkit. And that's what I like to do. I like to put together toolkits of this is the best way, the fastest way to get something done.
I agree. Yeah, it's all about like systemizing your approach and like similar to you. Like one thing that I found that was very helpful is I just treat it as SOPs, and I just kind of like just systemize like that. But I think you mentioned something really important where it's like maximizing your time, and like maximizing being able to use these types of tools to be able to like augment your skills and do all of that, maximize your time, make you more efficient so you can deal with your other things going on in your life. And I think specifically talking about like solopreneurship, when you're a solopreneur, you have to wear like 20 hats. You have to be the copywriter, the salesperson, the advisor, the everything, right? You have to do every little thing. So when you're using AI tools, right, it's making you like so much more efficient. Gary, for example, wrote in the chat that ChatGPT helped him win a place on a 6-month cohort application. So that's
Wow.
awesome. Congrats, Gary.
Amazing.
That's really cool. Um,
That is awesome.
it's just so fascinating, and it changes so fast. This space moves so fast. It's exciting. It's almost like you kind of have to like hold on to the edge of your seat. Um, with that being said, I'm sure you've seen all the updates. Last week was crazy for the AI space with Google and OpenAI with you releasing all their updates and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on 4.0?
Oh, well, I haven't quite gotten all the awesome features yet, so I'm chomping at the bit to get to it. But it blows me away, the things that they're able to do. And the thing is, what I've noticed that people are just now beginning to think of all the use cases that they can use it for. In fact, there's little videos that I've seen put out, and I'm actually this week I'm doing a boot camp where I'm going to be showing a lot of those different videos to show the features and the power of 4.0. But it's amazing what people can figure out how to do, because the thing is, this is all new to everyone. And so when you find a use case, like for me, it's a fun thing for me is to find a hack. Like find something that maybe you'd have to pay for normally, and then make either ChatGPT or another AI tool and combine them to do it even easier or do it faster or do it for less money. To me, hacks are kind of fun to find. And so I usually, that's my thing to try to find that. So 4.0 is going to change the game, and that's not even close to what it's going to be when it's 5 or whatever they happen to call it. I think it's amazing. Some of the, the vision and the, the voice and just, do you like it? Have you seen some of those videos?
Yeah, and it's crazy, and I can only imagine what 5 is gonna bring. I know there's a lot of
That
speculation and stuff, but it's crazy. It's really crazy how fast everything moves. It's just I don't know. I mean, I think what's like the most interesting factor for me at least is like when I started using ChatGPT. It was over a year ago. It was like near the time that it became that it actually came out, and whenever GPTs came out, so immediately I like similar to you, I just jumped in head first, did all the things, and it's just been really interesting just seeing like my year in review, or like now it's been maybe like a year and like 2 months or so since I started actually going full force into this, but it's been really interesting seeing that like progression of like, first it was just a little prompts, and then it's like bigger, more advanced prompts, then it's the GPTs, and now and now there's like voice and you can talk to it, and the progression is crazy. But with that being said, I think one of the biggest questions, and I think if anyone has any questions also in the that's watching this, feel free to drop them in the chat. One of the biggest questions that I think most people have is like, all right, great. Tools are great. I get it. But how do we actually use them? Like, what are some popular use cases, or even like some, productive use case that you found that you can implement as a solopreneur in your business? And, I think this is probably, it can really be anything, whatever you have found. But if you have any that are top of mind, it would be helpful if maybe you share like an easy use case, and you don't necessarily have to go into like full detail. If you want, you can, but maybe like an easy use case and maybe like something a little bit more extreme that, just to show that there are layers to it.
Right. Well, an easy use case is just using it for content. I mean, I told you that I really hate, writing. So having to come up with content can be a challenge, but having ChatGPT to be able to just literally put in, an idea that you might have of what you might want to, post about, and it come up with so many different, you can tell it, give me 5 ideas, give me 10 ideas, give me 50 ideas if you wanted to. And that is like really simple and a lot of fun a lot of times. And that's one way that you can speed up your time, because now you literally get it to spit out information for you, and then you can just tweak it versus starting from scratch. It could take me hours to write something. So if I can do it in minutes, that is worth a lot to me. And maybe something more complex. And this is something I think, if you are, a business owner that's selling something and you do a lot of communication, like one-on-one Zooms maybe with a client or a customer. One thing that I found, it was one of the hacks that I ended up figuring out, is that you can get a free AI, it's like one of the programs like Zoom, like Fathom is what I would use. Use Fathom to record the conversation that you had with someone, and then you can take um, the script, the transcript of what was said, and then you can input that into ChatGPT, and then you can ask questions like, what is the biggest takeaway? What is it that you determined is the biggest challenge that this customer is having? And really, instead of you having to try to figure it out or even remember what it was that everything you talked about, it can literally pull out for you all the challenges, all the objections, things that you can follow up with, something that you might be able to say to them that would help them understand, where you could help them. That is gold to be able to do that. And that, it does it in seconds. And so that is something that I think is even next level, where it, sometimes you can even ask it, I would imagine now with 4.0 coming out, it can actually take a look at a person's picture while they're talking and give you feedback on their emotions that they're having at the moment. So I know that there's actual tools out there that can do it. Well, they'll tell you they look like they had a little confusion, at that moment when their face crinkled or whatever. That's amazing. And so now with 4.0, once I get my grubby little hands on it, I'll be able to do things like that, and to be able to just take my, what I do with people to the next level.
This is awesome. So to touch on those two things, right? Like the first use case you mentioned, content, and clearly it's working because your LinkedIn is growing. So
Thank you.
so for a lot of the stuff that you're doing on LinkedIn, are you having, like, how's your experience using the content, AI content and stuff like that? Like, how, I guess, peel back a little bit, the curtain back a little bit more for that.
So I think when I first started using um, AI for content, I really wasn't really delving into what people needed to hear. So I just, you know, ask it a question, give it a prompt, and whatever it popped out, I'm like, okay, that sounds good, and just pop it in there. And it didn't always get a lot of reaction or interaction per se. And then I realized that I needed to speak to people the way that they wanted to be spoken to, and give them value, not just content. It has to be valuable content. Give them, whether it's a hack or maybe it's something that they could use in their daily life, or maybe it's something that they never knew about before. You can get ChatGPT or any other of the models to help trigger. It's like a brainstorming session, a free brainstorming session at all times, anytime you want to, without the person getting tired of you talking. Or, it, to me, that is a huge value for content, because now you can iterate and reiterate, and then take what it gives you and then put your own personal touch to it. And then I started to notice people starting to respond to what I was putting out, because it was, it, I do use it for kind of getting started, but then I put my own stories to it, especially stories, what your life has been, and incorporating that into it. That, I think, is one of the sweet spots.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would agree, and I think the ideation, like, you really can't find that elsewhere. Like, all the ideation, the sounding board, like, all those things that you can just. One of the things you said, and I want to highlight, is valuable content, right? I've noticed this as well. The more that you share with the world, the more the world wants to share back with you. So I found that that's very, very helpful. It's like, putting out helpful information that other people can actually feel smarter when they read. If they take action, it's going to be even better. Reality is, like, most people don't take action, um, but I would definitely second that. Um, and one more question on the opposite side. You said the Fathom. That was really interesting. Probably, I would say, other than, like, your time, which is super valuable, right? You never can get your time back. I would probably put data as like up there too. Like data is probably one of the most valuable things on this planet, and and it's really cool because like if you use AI for these use cases, like Crystal's mentioning, like put it into Fathom or get your Fathom transcript, put it into ChatGPT, extract, have it analyze, have it do all of this. I can definitely agree with that. Like that is a very, very smart use case of it. If you're not doing that, then that's something that you can implement, fairly easily or fairly quickly, I should say. In terms of like using it for LinkedIn, it's very similar. I've done something like that. I found this. I've shared this with Crystal before, but since we're talking about data use case and solopreneurship, this is gonna be also like one helpful tip that's gonna take both content and um, the data analysis out of like pretty much the same thing. So I found this one post. This one person was like bashing ChatGPT, and he was like, "Oh, I've used it for a year. It sucks. I didn't find any value in it." And it was like 400 comments of people agreeing, some people disagreeing. Some the AI warriors are like, "You don't know how to prompt," and then you have like people that are just have no idea how to use AI. And it was interesting. So I thought, well, I can sit here and read 400 comments, or I can just put that whole thing over on ChatGPT. And I did. And then, in a few, maybe like a 30-minute period, I had 400 comments scraped onto ChatGPT, and I had now like analysis, pain points, misconceptions, all of this. So exactly what Crystal's saying that you can do with Fathom, you can do with your emails. Obviously, like don't put any sensitive information, but you can do it across, all your other content pieces. So that's all really helpful. I think the only question that I have left really is I know you have a training coming up that you mentioned, right? You have a boot camp. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about that? What can people expect?
Sure,
Who is it for? And stuff
sure.
like that.
So it's for, course creators, coaches, consultants, people who are service-based business providers, anyone who has a need to get more customers and do it in less time. You're gonna love this boot camp. It's called Work Less, Earn More in 2024, but I call it the 10x your business boot camp because in addition to showing you really unique methods that's going to elevate your product and services, that's going to like take it beyond what the competition is doing. You're going to be able to attract better clients and get more of your time back in a way that you probably have never thought of before and never have seen before. I know that some of the tools that are out now are mind blowing. And I'm going to share some information on some tools that will blow your mind. So if you're looking for, something that's going to leverage your time, automation is automatically something that's going to leverage your time. But if you, connect that with AI, it's like a superpower. So we're going to talk about different tools, different strategies, and just show you how to streamline operations and just really get the most out of your time in building your business while also getting more customers and just it's coming up tomorrow actually, so it's really soon. It's 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the 21st through the 23rd is just 1 hour each day, so it's not going to take up too much of your time. But I just can't wait to share with everyone what some of these cutting edge technologies are and blow your mind too. And so you can actually get signed up. I have a link on my profile on my page. And just, if you're interested in something like that, get signed up. It's going to be amazing.
That sounds really, really interesting. So if you could just, really quickly on day one, if I'm not mistaken, I guess if you could just give like a little highlight overview of like what each day entails, or if it's a secret and it's a surprise, that's cool too.
No, it's not a secret. But on day one, I'm going to talk, that's where I'm going to talk more about making yourself, what you're doing, turn it into a unique value proposition for your customers, for your clients. And I'm going to show a method that's pretty, something that a lot of people haven't really heard of, or maybe they don't do yet, but it's going to elevate your products and your services off the chart, because it really makes what you're doing very compelling. It's going to really target the audience that you have, and it is about branding, but in a unique kind of way. So I won't spoil the secret, spoil the surprise, but you're going to be able to do something that's kind of unique and make what you're doing irresistible using AI.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I dropped the links in the chat if you guys are on the live. I'll just say them out loud anyway. AIsystemsagency.net. This is how you can go to the bootcamp, and you can also follow Christal Anderson. I put all the contact information, everything you need in the chat. So before you go, I just wanted to thank everyone for watching this impromptu live. And if you enjoyed stuff like this, like if you want me to bring on more experts and stuff like that, just let me know. I'm more than happy to do that. Christal, is there anything else that we might have missed that you would, any like last words that you want to share, or any last thoughts?
No, I mean, I think that AI is something that if you are not aware of yet, it's here to stay. And you are really missing a huge boat if you don't take a look at it seriously now and consider it, because that train is already on its way. It's running, and things are changing so fast that by the time you get started, another year from now, it's going to be so far gone that you're going to be breathlessly trying to catch up if you can. So definitely take a look, stop and take a pause on what is happening, because if these huge organizations are putting out billions with a B, billions of dollars to this particular tool and this technology, then they're taking notice. We might want to take notice too.
Absolutely. And with that, I would also encourage everyone to like understand this other important piece, like supporting that, is that if these companies are putting billions of dollars into AI, and AI is accessible to everybody, this is why Sam Altman said recently that we're in our generation, in the next like 5 to 7 years or whatever, we're going to 2025 to 2030. So I think that's like what, like 2 to 5 years or what. Anyways, regardless, we're gonna see like the first like billion-dollar companies that have like 1 to 10 people teams, and it's because of AI, right? So
crazy.
The future is crazy. What's ahead of us is crazy, and I think it's also our responsibility to be on the forefront of it, so that if we learn AI now, then we won't be on the other side of the wave when people are waiting to, and then it's too late, and then you have to deal with all the repercussions of living in an AI fueled society.
For sure.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Christal, for being here. I'm super excited that we were able to have this chat.
Thank you for having me. It was a nice surprise. I'm like, okay.
Of course. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in and watching this. If you do have any questions or anything, feel free to drop them, and we'll keep an eye out throughout the day. Cool. So now it's my like second or third time using StreamYard, so now I got to figure out how to end this.
I can't help you there. Sorry.
Oh, it says end stream. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks.